Jeff Marriage. I know it's a weird last name. When you see it written, it looks like Morhigi or Morhigi, but it's marriage, like getting married, which I know it's not spelled that way. You have to deal with what you got, right? So it's very hard for parents. I have a lot of parents who'll call me and they'll say, well, actually, college professors thought I was a foreign exchange student. So, and you knew something was going on because they would say, McAllister, Mason, Jeff. I know that's me. My name is Jeff Marriage. I am the executive director at YMCA Camp Kern. YMCA Camp Kern is located in Ohio, right in the heart of it all, like we say. It's the largest, and I'm very excited to say this, like George and Bob have told this too, the largest branch of the Greater Dayton YMCA officially as of the 1st of January. Yay! So a camp branch that overtook the membership branches, and not that I'm rubbing it in, but Kern is a $3.3 million operation, and we see 45,000 guests a year. We are year-round. There is 88 year-round full-time staff, and then we have a summer staff complement, about 147 is what we go up to. Been there since 2002, but I have a history at Camp Kern. A good history. History can be evaluated in many ways. I graduated Bowling Green State University as a teacher, and I taught school for a year, high school, alternate learning education. So all my kids were on parole from prison, and I had the high school room. Now imagine being 21, and you went to summer camp. You decided, I'm going to summer camp. I'm not going to go do that whole finding the teacher job. I got time for that. I'm 21. What did I care, right? So I come back from summer camp, and I take a sub job. And I'm like, I'll do a sub job. It was a 3-day sub job. 3 days that you can count on. It was at this alternate learning school. Third day, the superintendent comes up to me and he's like, you want a job? I was like, yeah. I'm like, why? Was I that great? And he's like, I have no idea, but no one's ever stayed more than 2 days, so you want a job. And so that high point moment thinking I'm a great teacher got completely destroyed, but it was a job. And it was one of those rooms where I had all the high school kids. I had every grade, and with a tape box around each kid. And this applies to culture. But imagine you're teaching your students, and there's like a taped outline. If they got outside of the taped outline without permission, I had a red panic button on the wall. If I hit that button, an armed deputy would rush into the room, and this was what was said to me, hopefully in time to help you. And so I learned real quick about creating a culture that of safe and feeling good. A lot of stories that come with that teaching experience. 1 year later, I went into camping. Actually, I loved my teaching experience, but I was offered a job with Dayton, and I came to the Y Profession as the equestrian director. Yes, there are some of those out there. I went there to take over this. Truth is, I followed a girl. It's the truth. My college sweetheart was from Dayton, Ohio. I'd never heard of Dayton, Ohio. Her dad was a principal. His grandiose plan was, there's a job at Camp Kern, I take my school there, then you can come back to teaching, become the principal, you and Val will be married, and all will work out well. Well, here's how the story really went. I took the job, went to a camp, found the experience of your first professional job at a camp, and finding out that it's not as glorious initially as you thought. Lost the girl, found a career. So that story ended. And then started a career with the Y. 3 years later, I was the senior program director. I left Dayton to be the director of camping services in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I was there for 5 years, so I ran Camp Algonquin, Camp Beck, our conversation, you put that right in my head. Chelsea Camp, and then I also had Burkett, and then Cedar Lakes Camp. So I was running facility day camps and Camp Algonquin. You all heard Scott last night talking about Algonquin. Yes, no matter what he's doing now, he will always be a counselor who worked for me and my program director who worked for me. So you want stories? I got the stories. And then, in 2002, I returned to Camp Kern, and I've been there ever since. Creating a culture of excellence. When you think culture of excellence, what do you think of? What's an example of a culture of excellence? Shoot.
Like second mile spirit, or like doing what needs to be done to make sure it's like a great experience.
Yeah, doing what needs to be done. I love that idea. A lot of people would think that when you think of a great culture of excellence, Is Disney considered one of the best? Yeah, I mean, here's a culture of excellence that's been around. Their brand is considered the best. Their staffing scenario, extreme. How they train, extreme. A lot of people think of this. But here's the other thing. Do we have the money to do this?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, not yet. Did someone say not yet? I love optimists. You know, but even with the money that goes on there, there is a core training to create a culture that grows. And there's a lot of it that's very relative to what we do. Now, I'm not going to be talking about Disney today. What I'm going to be talking about is a story and a journey. So YMCA Camp Kern. In 2002, I was on my way to return to Kern. I shared with you my earlier history because I'd been there before. I was the equestrian director and senior program director, and I had left. I'd been gone for 5 years. So you had history, you had stuff, and you were different. If you are the same manager and style now that you were 4 or 5 years ago, then I would put it to you that you're failing yourself. I would put it to you that leadership is a road, it's a journey, it's an evolution, that you have to be open, and you have to be open to yourself. Who I was at Camp Kern from 1994 to 1998 was not who was coming back in 2002. But I was coming back to something really interesting. First I want to show you, this is Camp Kern today. This is a good little quick picture of what our camp offers, what we're about. Oh, I love connections. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But today, when we do marketing for Camp Kern, it's not always printed material. We have an atmosphere now where we use our YouTube channels, our Animoto, and really put the picture behind of what's happening. This is what kids are saying about who we are now. Getting here was not easy. And I'm going to tell you that story, and hopefully you're going to take some pieces of it. Getting to a place where we have 45,000 guests a year, where we grew from $1.4 million in 2002 to 3.3 in 2010. That's not an easy thing to do. We're going to get by this little buffer thing. It's not working out. Here's what I came into. Retention to summer camps from 2001 to 2002 was 29%. If you're a decision maker at camp, you know your lifeblood is retention. Retention. Who's coming back? And if you don't know the complicated formula, it's this simple. Take the roster from the year before, take it with your current roster, take the total number of kids, and then count how many appear on the second roster from the first roster. That's your mathematical formula to find out. Don't get grandiose. Don't try and buy software to do the complete computer statistical analysis. Get your roster. Okay? You want to get complicated, find out how many of them were first-year campers, because that's an indicator of growth. Retention was 29%. We're a year-round facility. Our retention of groups was 34%. Only 34% would come to Camp Kern and then come back again, would book with us again. I was a little scared, okay? Fundraising, they had raised $17,000. What I didn't put on here is with a $15,000 gift from a board member. Okay? Very scary situation. At that time in my life, I was scared to return to Camp Kern because of ghosts. Who I'd been as a program director. And I'm telling you right now, I was a rough program director. I was about results. The results is what mattered to me. The supervisors loved me because I got them the results. We got the numbers, the kids were happy, but I wasn't really happy with my style. To be quite honest, it left me kind of empty. I was a yeller. I was a coming after you if you did something bad guy. I was very in your face. Now, I'm back in the Northeast, and I like to blame it on regional because I'm a New Yorker by birth. Okay, so I'm from Manhattan, and then grew up in Jersey, and back and forth between Manhattan and Jersey, and then I got transplanted to the Midwest. So I have to admit now with my fellow New Yorkers that I blamed our culture when I was in the Midwest. It was my excuse. I was like, that's how we do it. Like, we just get in your face, and then I'm done with it. See, the difference between Midwest people and East Coast people, you get it out. Like, I'm hating you right now, this is how I feel. Let's go get some coffee. You're done. In the Midwest, it's agricultural. It's a seed. 1 month later, someone will come up to you and be like, Jeff, you hurt me 4 weeks ago. And I'm at a point where I'm like, what happened 4 weeks ago? Which really doesn't help to validate the feelings, but it festers and it grows and they add them all. So when a Midwest person explodes on you, it's like 12 interactions. So there was a lot of things. So I used to blame being a New Yorker. I can't do it here. So that was 2002. This was last year's statistics. Retention rate of summer campers of 78%. Retention rate of groups of 93%. We raised $80,000 annually for our scholarship campaign. Just last year alone, I raised $1.5 million in capital. And since 2002, I've raised $7 million in capital improvements.
All right.
That is not me. I won't take credit for that. That's the team that we put together to create something that made a story and got people bought in. How did we get there? This past June, we celebrated 100 years at Camp Kern. No, this is not my picture. All right. I have had to hear that for a year from the alumni. They're like, you know, you kind of look like him. And I'm like, please, he was killed by a streetcar. Like, I'm all in that. You know the secret? Don't put it out there. I don't need to get hit by a streetcar. I have glasses. He did. But that is Carl B. Kern, who founded the camp in 1910. All right. Step 1 to creating a culture is the most important step. And that step is you. And this is a gut check, get real moment with yourself. I'm telling you a story. I had to get real with myself before I was going to return to Camp Kern. And even whether it was Camp Kern or not, I knew that I needed to step my game up. I'm an executive director. I'm going to a bigger facility. It's in trouble. Am I capable of doing this? And I need to be satisfied in it. So I had to look at myself. How can I change my style? Folks, I haven't raised my voice at a staff person since 1998. Since 1998, I did one massive evolution of change in my own leadership style. I'm not a yeller or a screamer anymore. 94 to 98, there's still some people that are seeing therapists for it. But from 98, now granted, the people that know me my whole life, they said that the new me is a little more scary. They're like, because you kind of just look and stare. And then you step out of the room and take a moment, and then you come back, and then you look and stare. And then they're like, it's kind of scarier. And so I've had people request it, but I haven't gone there. What's your style? What's your commitment to vision? I am a nerd, okay? When I am lost with getting people's advice, I read. And so I went and did what a lot of people do, leadership style books. Lee Cockrell, the retired vice president of Disney World, created their leadership style characteristics, their customer service plan. He just wrote this book. It came out a year ago. It's called Creating Magic. It is leadership style, tenets of leadership. It's all about what I'm talking about today. Fantastic book. You've heard Purple Cow. Purple Cow, for no other reason, makes you look at marketing and presenting yourself in a different way. It's a great tool, easy read. Anything by Seth Godin is amazing. If you just want to flip your mind on how you're looking at things, you should read him.